Welcome to Rocky Broad Solar, where we encourage you to make the current flow. On today's episode, we've got an exciting announcement. Tesla has now come out with the Tesla Powerwall 3. Now, for those that are aware of the Powerwall 2, that's kind of an old AC coupled solar battery, primarily designed to fit with existing systems. Tesla Powerwall 3 is something totally new altogether. So the Tesla Powerwall 3 is both a string inverter and a DC coupled battery all in one unit. This thing has kind of brought the industry back to the old school string inverter rules. So for those installers out there who really have been, only in the industry maybe the last 5 years or so, primarily used to installing SolarEdge, optimized systems, or maybe in-phase microinverters, this is a completely new ball game as far as solar design is concerned. So for those of you that aren't really familiar with string inverters, you can't really just kind of move panels around all willy-nilly, throw some on that plane, some on the other plane. For string inverters, you want the solar strings, or all the panels on one string, to be facing the same direction, at the same roof tilt, and kind of have the same sun exposure. Because as one gets shaded or one has a lower production, it's going to kind of drag the rest of the string down. Now that's something that's kind of been mitigated, with microinverters and optimizers. And Tesla's decided to go back to string inverters mainly just to reduce overall costs. So if you're one of those installers that really kind of just do like an Aurora roof layout and kind of do the whole permitting process and everything, and really don't measure out the roof till day of installation, with the Tesla Powerwall 3, maybe that's not such a good idea anymore, because you can't really just willy-nilly move some panels around day of installation if things don't fit, without potentially having negative repercussions to the overall system performance. And so if your installers in the field aren't really aware of string inverter rules and how to keep strings within a certain voltage, keep all the strings facing the same direction, same azimuth, same tilt, making a simple on-site change can really have negative consequences. So the Tesla Powerwall 3 has up to 20 kilowatts DC of solar input. Now that is much higher than in most cases you're really going to want to work with, but this just gives you a lot of flexibility. The inverter itself only has 11.5 kilowatts of max continuous output power. Now that's I say only, but that's really a good bit of power. That's a large residential solar inverter, but it's significantly less than that 20 kilowatts DC. That being said, the inverter can also, because of that DC coupled architecture, if you're not familiar with DC coupled architecture, you might want to check out the video at the end of this video on AC versus DC coupled energy storage systems. But although it can only make 11.5 kilowatts of continuous output AC power out of the solar inverter, it can simultaneously send 5,000 watts or 5 kilowatts to the battery bank. So really it can utilize about 16.5 kilowatts of that 20 kilowatts of solar panels. Now if you, currently we don't have the ability to add these DC expansion units. So that is going to be in the future. You're going to have kind of an additional Tesla Powerwall 3 without the solar inverter. So it'll be cheaper and you're just kind of adding more, a bigger fuel tank per se. And so in that case, say you have a Tesla Powerwall 3 and a DC expansion unit, well then all of a sudden you've got 10 kilowatts of battery bank where you could send that DC power. And I think that's really where that 20 kilowatts comes from, is in the future when you can stack out these DC expansion units, you can really take advantage of some of these features. So it's got a load start capability of 185 amps. Now that is no joke. That is a major load start capability, and that really kind of blows most other manufacturers in the market out of the water as far as capabilities of starting large heating and air conditioning units or motor loads. Round trip efficiency is 89%, so that's essentially from the solar panels through the inverter to the battery, or to the DC side of the battery, out of the battery, transition to AC, out to the grid. So that whole round trip, 89% efficiency. I think just solar alone without the batteries, you're talking like 97%. So the maximum, or basically the maximum power point tracking input voltage is between 60 and 550 volts DC. So it's got up to six maximum power point trackers, or up to 6 strings that can be connected to the inverter. Now those strings are limited to 13 amps. So depending on the maximum power point current of your solar module, pretty much every solar module on the market these days, the vast majority of them are going to fall under 13 amps. So you can get up to 6 strings on this inverter. That being said, they're limited to 13 amps. And so if your solar module exceeds that amperage, you're going to have to use these little jumpers to jumper those strings together to get up to 3 strings of 26 amps. That being said, beware of the Powerwall 3s with the serial number ending in J. For those, ports 3 and 4 cannot be jumpered together. So you would then have up to 2 strings at 26 amps and up to 2 strings at 13 amps. It has an operating temperature of between -4 and 122 degrees Fahrenheit. So, and it's outdoor or indoor rated. So really this can go in vast majority of the climates across the continental United States. Max elevation is 9,843 feet. So for those of you that live in an elevation above that, the Powerwall 3 is not going to be for you. The battery chemistry is lithium iron phosphate. Now what's strange is you think Tesla would just be plastering this all over their documentation, but they're not. In fact, on their latest data sheet, there is no evidence of the battery chemistry whatsoever. That being said, I am a certified Tesla Powerwall 3 installer, and based on the training, this is a lithium iron phosphate battery. Now, for those that don't know, Tesla was one of the few holdouts still running on lithium ion technology. And so moving to lithium iron phosphate is a great change. So for those that don't know, it has less chance of thermal runaway. You get many more cycles out of it, less degradation, and so this battery is just, it's going to last much longer and be able to be cycled daily without, the same amount of degradation that you would have with the older battery chemistry. The warranty is a 10-year warranty, which is pretty standard in the industry. For those solar professionals out there, you might be asking, how is this rapid shutdown compliant without optimizers or microinverters? Now the answer is, Tesla has developed the MCI, or what is going to be used with the Powerwall 3 is the MCI 2. So the MCI is called a mid-circuit interrupter, and this MCI 2 is just a small little unit with some, basically the panel strings can plug right into it, and every 3 modules or so, you're going to have a mid-circuit interrupter so that when rapid shutdown is initiated down at the inverter, those mid-circuit interrupters are going to cut voltage and bring that string down to a safe voltage within the array boundary. So another brand new development with the Tesla Powerwall 3 comes with the Tesla Backup Switch. Now the Tesla Backup Switch is essentially a meter collar adapter. So where your utility meter is, you or the utility removes the meter itself. You plug in the Tesla Backup Switch, plug the meter into that, and basically it's a microgrid interconnect device that cuts power right where your service conductors come in to your utility meter. And what that does is that completely replaces the old Tesla Gateway 2. And so this is just going to drastically reduce labor and material costs. One issue with it though is that it's designed for whole home backup only. So for homeowners that are going to use that Tesla backup switch, you'll have to make sure that you buy enough Powerwalls to back up your whole home and provide whole home backup during a grid outage. So the Tesla backup switch is just going to have a simple small communications cable that goes between that meter collar adapter and the Tesla Powerwall 3. So, you just take the Powerwall 3, you backfed breaker it into a load center in the home, you run a communications cable between the Powerwall 3 and the backup switch, and you're done. And that, once the grid outage occurs, the Powerwall 3 sends that signal to the backup switch to disconnect power and create a microgrid during the outage. One issue at the time of this video is that the amount of utilities that have accepted the Tesla backup switch for use under their utility grid are limited. Now, a lot of the major California utilities have already accepted it, and there's several across the nation. You can find that list on Tesla's website. But if you don't live under a utility, or if you don't purchase your power from a utility that accepts the Tesla backup switch, then you're going to have to revert to either the Tesla Gateway 2 or the Tesla Gateway 3. So another new exciting development that really just came out this past week is the Tesla Backup Gateway 3. Now this is new compared to the Backup Gateway 2. It's got some great features. It's also got kind of less features. So the Tesla Backup Gateway 3, it is going to provide whole home backup only. Now the old Tesla Gateway 2 had that 100 amp non-backup lug pass-through, which was super helpful for homeowners that say have a pool panel with a pool pump and maybe some pool heaters or a jacuzzi. Like nobody really wants to run that stuff from their batteries during a utility outage. So that Tesla Backup Gateway 2, you could just run a feeder from that 100 amp non-backed up lugs, and that way when the power went out, it would disconnect power from those unnecessary loads and saving your batteries for more important loads. Now that no longer is available with the Tesla Backup Gateway 3. And now that's probably because this battery has so much more capabilities for whole home backup. But in my opinion, I still wouldn't want to waste my battery power running a pool pump or something of that nature during an outage. It also does not have any battery management system or site controller, and that is because that's all built in to the Tesla Powerwall 3, so it is unneeded. The Tesla Powerwall 3 is now kind of the brains of the system rather than the gateway. So it also does not have a secondary meter Y, which is what's in the Tesla Gateway 2, which provides the ability to AC couple if you say have an existing solar system that you want to be able to also charge the batteries. It does not allow partial home backup whatsoever, and it also does not really have the capabilities for complex metering setups. And I'm not going to get into that too much today. It's just too big of a subject for this video. What it does have is an 8-space or up to 16 circuit internal panel board that's factory installed. And so that can be used for solar backfeed, batteries, EV chargers, or even backed up loads. And so that gives you a lot more flexibility of being able to land a bunch of breakers inside that Tesla Backup Gateway 3 to prevent needing to install separate subpanels and things of that nature. Now, that being said, here later this year, it's expected that the Tesla remote meter is going to come out. And when that comes out, we are going to have the ability to do all those things that we currently need the Tesla secondary meter Y with the Backup Gateway 2. So when the Tesla remote meter comes out, we will really be able to do that AC coupling, partial home, and complex metering setups. And the main thing with this Tesla Backup Gateway 3 is it's just a gutted Backup Gateway 2. It's simpler, way less stuff, and so it's drastically, again, reduced costs. And that's kind of what Tesla's doing with this whole new ecosystem is they are trying to drastically reduce costs so homeowners can go solar with storage at an affordable price. So currently, if you're in the market for a Tesla Powerwall 3, but you do want AC coupling, partial home backup, or you have a complex metering setup, that's not a problem because you can still pair the Tesla Powerwall 3 with the Tesla Backup Gateway 2. It will be a little more expensive, but it gives you all those capabilities. I believe once that Tesla remote meter comes out, they're probably going to retire the Gateway 2 and just have solely the Tesla Backup Gateway 3. So right here we've got some illustrations of, again, the kind of setups you're going to have with either the Gateway 3 or the Tesla Backup Switch. So here we've got the Tesla Powerwall 3 with the Gateway 3. You've got your utility grid coming into the utility meter. Then you're going to have your Gateway 3 intercepting your service conductors. You're going to put all your home's loads in your load center downstream of that Gateway 3 to provide whole home backup. Again, this is your microgrid interconnect device that is going to disconnect from the utility grid during an outage. The Powerwall 3 is then going to land downstream, probably in your load center. Again, you could also put a breaker in the Gateway 3 depending on your situation. Lastly, you've got your DC solar panels that feed directly into that Powerwall 3 into the DC string inputs into your 6 maximum power point trackers. Now down here below, you've got the Powerwall 3 with backup switch. You can see this seems a little more simpler, right? We've got the utility grid feeding the utility meter, and again, that backup switch just plugs right in there, right behind your utility meter. That is what's going to disconnect from the grid during a utility outage. You're going to leave all your service conductors and your existing electrical system all intact just the way it already is, and then you're just going to connect that Powerwall 3 with a breaker connection in your on-site load center. And again, your DC solar panels are going to feed directly into that Tesla Powerwall 3. So to recap about the new Tesla Powerwall 3, this is a DC coupled solar and energy storage solution, which again is not something that Tesla has traditionally done. This raises efficiency and reduces costs. We've got our mid-circuit interrupters that perform rapid shutdown compliance. The battery itself has up to a 48 amp max continuous output current and can start loads up to 185 amps. Again, this battery is a freaking workhorse. This is really gonna put all other manufacturers on their toes, and everybody's gonna be rushing to innovate and drive costs down to catch up with Tesla, and that's gonna be a great thing for the solar and storage industry. Again, you've got your solar inverter and your battery all in one unit. And this is going to really reduce labor and equipment costs. It just makes it much easier to go bolt one unit to the wall, have your solar and battery all in one unit. It just makes this quicker and more affordable. So this is now the cheapest mainstream solar and battery storage product on the market. And that is just a major shift in the industry. Everybody's worried about spending their precious dollars. And if you want to go solar and storage, this is a great option to get it at a very affordable price. Now, like I say, with every system, it's got its pros and it's got its cons. The pros here are that this is a battery with massive capabilities and a really affordable price. The cons are you lose that module level monitoring by not having optimizers or microinverters measuring each module. You really also lose a lot of design flexibility. That being said, the maximum power point trackers up to 6 strings, you still have a lot of flexibility, but the installers have to know what they're doing as far as designing and installing. It's not as forgiving as your optimizers or your microinverters. Also, if anything ever goes wrong on the roof, you don't have that module level monitoring, where you can see every single panel, what it's making, what it's doing. You know, you can see what each string is making, but you know, it's going to have a little more investigation if anything goes wrong on the roof. Lastly, it really has no generator integration capabilities. And you know, Tesla's really going all renewable. Most people that are going solar and batteries don't really care about generators, but that's a great feature to have for someone that does have a fossil fuel powered backup generator. You know, it'd be great if you could integrate it into your solar and battery system so it can charge your batteries, say in a long prolonged outage with bad weather conditions, maybe in the winter or low sun exposure. The ability to fire up that generator, recharge your battery bank, have it turn back off to save fuel, and then run off your batteries again would be a great feature, but unfortunately that is not something that Tesla offers. Like pretty much all mainstream solar and energy storage manufacturers on the market, the Tesla Powerwall 3 system has the ability to do several different things in your home. So one, it can provide backup power during a utility outage. Secondly, it can maximize self-consumption. So that is when basically you're always going to use your solar and batteries first. When there's excess solar energy, you're going to charge your battery bank before sending it to the grid. You're only going to send your excess solar out to the grid at last resort. And then when you're using power, you're always going to pull from the batteries or the solar first. Solar first, batteries second. Only at last resort are you going to pull in power from the grid third. That's called maximize self-consumption. Lastly, there's offsetting time of use. And so if you set your battery up to offset time of use, that's if you're under a utility where they charge you more for electricity during certain times of day than others. You can, for example, set your battery to charge during the day when energy is cheap, and then when you hit that peak demand time, usually in the evenings, depending on your utility, you know, you would then have that full battery bank to utilize to always pull from the battery during that expensive period, only using utility power at your last resort. Also, if you're looking for backup, you can set a certain, you know, if you want to use part of your battery to offset time of use or to just maximize self-consumption in the home, but then you also want to save a certain portion of your battery for a utility outage event, you have that option to set up a backup reserve. So for example, you could set time of use, but I want to save 30% backup reserve so that anytime if the power went out, you know no matter what, you at least have 30% of your battery. Now just remember, if you're buying the battery to offset your utility bill, by utilizing that backup reserve, you know, that portion is not being used to offset your utility bill. So you're kind of giving up one functionality for another. You're going to have a nice homeowner app where you can get on your cell phone or your desktop, monitor how much power your solar is making, how much is going to the battery, how much is going to the grid, and you can go in there and really get a dialed down view of exactly what's happening in your home and the flow of electricity. So if you're in the market for a Tesla Powerwall 3, go ahead and go down in the description below and click on that Rocky Broad Solar intake form. Just takes a few minutes to fill out some questions about your specific scenario, and I'll get back to you within a few days with a zero-cost, pressure-free quote to put solar and a Tesla Powerwall 3 on your home. If you're not interested in the Tesla Powerwall 3, but instead you're more of a do-it-yourselfer, go ahead down in the description below, check out our affiliate links. These links bring you to some distributors of great solar and storage products for extremely affordable prices, some of the best I've found in the industry. And at the time of this video, I'm trying to negotiate some deals for my customers. So by the time you watch this video, you may be able to get some deals by going down in that description and using our affiliate links. Well, everyone, like always, thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate each and every one of you. Until next time, Take care. If you're getting value out of today's content, do me a favor. Hit the like button, subscribe, press that notification bell so you can be notified when I have more videos like this one.